We're talking to Dr. Bernice King, CEO of the King Center in Atlanta, Georgia. Talking about the King Holiday, why is it important that people continue to celebrate your father's legacy?
I heard somebody may say because it's the truth.
It's the truth.
It's the truth. I mean, he's my dad, so I'm going to be a little biased than the average person. But he just provides us with the means and the way. I don't know of another way. When you study him, and when you get exposed to, the philosophy and the methodology, we do educate and train people in his philosophy and methodology. It makes you a better person. It gives you the skills and the ability to navigate in a world of differences, diversity, and you approach individuals and situations totally different. You see people as a part of your human family. People, not the ones I prefer, but you see people in general. And your heart is postured toward wanting to find the best for all. Doesn't mean that everything's going to be rosy. It doesn't mean we're not going to have disagreements. It doesn't even mean, for instance, there's going to be a sense of segregation for the rest of our lives. I mean, just by choice. I choose to be, I prefer this, not because I don't like you or want to be with you. It's just, this is what I prefer. Like we talk about Sunday, Daddy talked about Sunday being 11 o'clock hour being the most thoroughly segregated hour.
Yes.
And I thought about it. Was he really saying, we need all churches to be multicultural? Mm-hmm. I think he was talking about a spirit and a heart as opposed to literal. That every single church needed to have black, white, Hispanic, Native American, Asian in their congregation. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's what he meant. I think he meant that our hearts ought to be postured to welcome and include that in our experience. And if it so happens to attract all those differences, so be it. But if it attracts opposite, so be it. It's the spirit of it. And so I think his teachings are vital today because he does show us how to have a heart, because that's the key here. I mean, people do things every day, but I always try to look and see what is the real heart and intent of the person, because that matters to me more than just the actions. Mm-hmm. When I look and somebody does something that's bad, unjust, evil, I'm always wondering what is the intent and heart of that person. If they're doing it out of ignorance, mm-hmm. lack of exposure, it's one thing versus they're just mean-spirited. So I look to see what is the heart, and I think that's what he left with us. He left with us how to have the right heart for humanity, for our brothers and sisters that are part of this earth that we live in.
You talk about the heart.
Because out of the heart flow the issues.
Definitely.
So if your heart is right, you'll do what's right.
Compassion. When you say, Daddy, I feel the compassion. I hear it in your voice. You were 5 years old when your father was assassinated. Do you have any memories?
Very little, very few. The kissing game that we always played, I always remember that.
What was that about?
Well, when he would come home, I would run up into his arms and he would just say, we're going to play the kissing game today. And each one of us had a spot, forehead, two cheeks, side of the mouth, and the smack dead in the middle. Of course, it was my mom. My sister was to the side. Mm-hmm. I was on the forehead, and my two brothers opposite cheek. Mm-hmm. And he would just say, okay, we're going to play the kissing game. Mm-hmm. And each one of us had what he called a sugar spot. Okay. He called it sugar. I guess he considered the kiss to be sweet. I don't know. And so, okay, where is, and he would call one person's name, and I would kiss him on that spot. Mm-hmm. So I remember that very vividly. And I remember oftentimes sitting at the dinner table. Don't remember conversations, but what I do remember is many times he would take these long stem onions, and he would pick them up before any kind of grace was said. And he would just chew on it like it was a celery stick.
Okay.
So I don't know why I remember that.
Great memories.
But I do remember that. Everything else, predominantly, I was told, except I vaguely remember one time being on my tricycle and that my dad and two brothers were riding the bikes, and they went out into the street that we lived on, and I tried to follow. And of course, he was keeping his eyes on me. And I remember him getting me and pulling me back, So that's about all that I, actually remember versus being told.
Beautiful memories. Thank you so much, Dr. Bernice King.
Thank you.
I'm Maria Boynton.